Welcome to the Burgundy Gold Knuckleheads podcast. And as always, sitting right over there is my main man, Reggie. What's going on, Reg?
What's happening, Kenny J? What's up, baby?
Not much. We're right on the verge of Christmas here, the holiday season. We missed out on because of our schedule and the time of the game and like I said, personal schedules. We weren't able to do a post game. I don't know that wouldn't have been a very pretty post game, but we'll talk about the Giants game here in a minute, but also talk about the upcoming San Francisco game. But it's the holiday season. It's time to get out there and spend with family and catch some Christmas lights and have some holiday spirits, as they say.
It is, man.
You
It
able
is.
to do some of that?
Yeah. Let me ask you: Are you an eggnog drinker?
I am not. I for those that don't know, I barely drink alcohol. I mean, I really don't drink. It's a celebratory shot of Fireball once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Reggie knows, but the people out there don't know. I'm not a drinker.
I don't drink eggnog either, man. I was gonna have to question you a little bit if you told me you drink eggnog.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
hey, and let me just say, if you drink eggnog out there, no offense, but fuck.
Yeah. Oh, my family did. My family grew up as I was growing up as a kid. Yeah, there was eggnog. I mean, I don't think eggnog flows like it used to. Just same thing as like ginger ale, right? You used to have ginger ale in your house as a kid, and your parents and grandparents drank it and mixed their drinks with it. Oh, ginger ale isn't
Nah,
out there
bro.
like it used to be, man.
I don't think I'm friends with anybody who drink eggnog. If you drink eggnog, we probably don't get along. I don't know why that is. It's just one of those things. Just something about people
Hey,
drink eggnog again.
now you're ostracizing some of our knucklehead listeners out there.
No, listen, I'm not saying they're not great people. I'm just saying I don't know.
You
I don't get
eggnog listeners, you eggnog drinkers, go ahead. That's Knucklehead Reggie on Twitter. Let him know. Let him know. Knucklehead
No.
can't stand your eggnog-aholic that you are. I support you. Don't take and
Look,
drive hard eggnog, but I support you.
I'm sure they're good people, man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know anybody who drinks eggnog, so therefore, I guess I don't get along with people. I'm not friends with people who drink eggnog. No, listen,
You need to spread your you need to spread your wings, my man. You need to spread your
no,
wings.
hell no, man. I done
No,
tasted
I'm
that
not saying
stuff
to
before.
try it, but get out there and mingle with the eggnog people.
Is
You
that what
know,
it is? Man,
yeah,
my
don't
neighbor gave me some eggnog one day for Christmas.
yeah. Did you
I
try
was
it?
like, hell no. Like, what?
You didn't even try it,
No, I don't drink eggnog, Ken. So I was like,
but you
thank
don't
you.
know. But you
I
don't
was like,
know.
hey, I even lie. I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. And later on, it's like, hey, so how was it? I was like, yeah, it wasn't too bad. Man, I poured it straight
You
down the
lied right to
drain.
his face. You lied right to his face
Man,
about
I
eggnog.
poured it down the drain. I'm like, yeah, what am I gonna do
Ladies and
this?
gentlemen, do not waste your time and money by giving Knucklehead Reggie any eggnog.
That's a true statement. Don't bring that to me, dog.
But if you
Can't
got
do it.
tequila, man, Reggie will be shoulder to shoulder with you.
That's right. I get along with tequila drinkers. But but anyway, man, so it would not have been a good podcast after that Giants game Sunday night. Oh man, I was hot, brother. I was hot.
Yeah, I mean, you
And
gotta.
it was awful.
I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the one good thing, right? Uh, without digging into anything, the defense held them to 13 points.
Okay.
Right. All right.
That's it.
They had the strip sack touchdown that gave them 7 points. Besides that, defense held them to 13 points. Outside of that, man, that was a frustrating game. Frustrating game. And
What
we're not even talking about the last 2 minutes. The last
yeah,
1 minute. We're not even talking about that.
bro.
Just throughout the game was a frustrating game, and you're like, we're gonna lose this game.
Man,
It
listen.
was halfway through this beginning of the second quarter. I'm like, man, we're gonna, I'll say mess up and lose this game. And sure enough,
What was
we
my
did.
number? What was one of my number one keys and thoughts about that game? I said, Ken, we've had 2 weeks
3
to
weeks.
prepare for this.
3 weeks. Because you had the 1 week to prepare for them, and then you had 2 more weeks on top of that. So you
That's fair.
prepared for the Giants for
That's
3
fair.
weeks.
That's fair. But I'm gonna give it 2 because you're gonna make the adjustment. Right? You're right. The first week you went in and you prepared for the Giants the first time. You end up tying the game. So therefore, you got a bye week and the game week. So 2 weeks to prepare or make any adjustments as a team and against an opponent that you just played 3 weeks ago.
And an opponent that the week prior during your bye week got their butts whooped by Philly.
That's right. Philly put up almost 50 points on them.
So yeah, they forgot about Washington. They were hyper focused on beating Philly because they're just like us. They're fighting to get in the playoffs. And yeah, I don't know.
Man,
yeah.
we looked ugly. We came out flat. The Giants look like the team
at home.
The Giants look like the team coming off the bye week. We look like.
I mean, the Giants didn't look that good. I'm not going to go ahead and give them anything special up until the last drive, where all of a sudden Saquon busted like 3 10-yard, 12-yard runs in a row. Prior to that, they were holding him to.
But it wasn't just about Saquon.
5 yards. I understand, but they didn't look like anything special by any means. They were there to be beat, and Washington didn't take advantage of their opportunities. I mean, like I said, we can get to the controversial penalties or whatever, but just on offense, we were 1 for 10 on third down. 1 for 10, and some of those obviously are not long. Third and 8, third and 10 yardage. They're 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and you still didn't pick it up. It's just ridiculous. Obviously, the one strip sack touchdown, I don't think Heineke ever saw it coming, but the other one, he needed to secure the ball. He had 2 fumbles. We've gone. I went and looked. We've only had 2 games this year that we had 0 turnovers. That's it. We've turned the ball over every single game except for 2 games this season. And when you're not a special team, which Washington is not by any means, you can't get away with that.
Look, man, when I saw that strip sack fumble recovery to a touchdown, the only difference between that play and that happened 3 weeks prior was the fact they didn't score a touchdown.
Right.
Exact same play from the exact same side, the blind side. And it's like, what in the hell is going on? Did we forget to game plan for number 5?
Well,
where was the adjustment in protection against number 5? We discovered 2 Hall of Fame players in that game. We created Thibodeau, which he's a rookie, but he's going to be special. And then the Giants started uncovering receivers that we'd never heard of. Right. Granted that the defense didn't give up a whole lot of points, but oh my God, man, they was able to come out and just move the ball up and down the field at will.
And
they went on a 97-yard drive, Ken.
No doubt. Right?
I mean, so I understand. Yeah. I understand statistically, we held them to 13 points. But I'm going to say it again. They look like the team that was coming off the bye week. They look fresher. They look like they had an extra step to them. They came and they brought it to us in our own stadium. So we sat there. And again, in previous weeks, you're not going to drive 97 yards against that defense. But the Giants did it.
Right.
And, they didn't need Saquon Barkley early on because Daniel Jones was out there just dinking and dunking and throwing it to guys. It's like we couldn't tackle. It's like, what it appeared to me is that Del Rio went to a zone.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, what do we do? Like, and what bothers me again is the lack of adjustment. When the zone was when they were being productive and successful with the zone, do something different, Jack. Scott Turner.
Don't get me started on Scott Turner. We'll come back around.
Thibodeau's out here just creating havoc on the offensive line. Do something different, man. Do
Look.
something different. I just don't understand what you're doing. And before I'm gonna let you say one more thing here,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna say one more thing about this game. That backfield handoff to Curtis Samuel, throw it out, scrap it. We don't have Curtis Samuel is not Debo Samuels, right? That guy's not on our team. Scrap that play.
And if you're going to run Samuel, I'm not running him between my tackles. Right? I'm coming. At best, I'm running him off the edge of the tackle. If not, I'm going to sweep him out one way or the other.
That wasn't working either.
Speed, but I'm saying that is his game is speed. If I'm running between the tackles, whose game on our team is between the tackles? That's B-Rob.
Right.
And B-Rob was doing a good job. So why do you got to get tricky between the tackles? Again, that is not a position to do that.
I'll say it again, man. We got Curtis Samuel, not Debo Samuel. So they need to scrap that play, because I'm going to tell you that play, as many times as they called it, resulted in no gain or negative gains, and it put us in second and third, which led to the lack of third down conversions that you talk about. It was awful, man. It was awful.
I don't disagree. Yeah, Scott Turner proves over and over again that he doesn't belong to be an offensive coordinator in Washington. I'm going to read off this list of teams.
Okay.
Okay. Seattle Seahawks, Cleveland Browns, Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots, Chicago Bears, the Saints, the Jets, the Panthers, and San Francisco the last 3 games. All those teams that I just mentioned, none of them had you or I don't think none of them we would consider have a franchise quarterback.
Okay.
All of them, every single one of those teams has scored more points throughout the NFL so far this season than Washington. And it's not because of our weapons. Again, people want to say it's Heineke, and I'm not saying that Heineke isn't making mistakes, and I'm not saying that Heineke doesn't have limitations. All those teams that I mentioned, their quarterbacks have limitations.
Right.
Yet somehow they're able to put more points on the board than what Washington is. And I think our weapons around our quarterback are as good or better than most of those teams.
Than some of those guys you just named. So
and our offensive line isn't great, but again, if I'm comparing, our offensive line is subpar. I guarantee you some of those offensive lines are subpar.
Oh, clearly, they have issues.
Quarterbacks are, but they're able to find a way and open up the offense and put their players in positions to score. And it is just beyond frustrating when we have games like this that you just sit there and there'll be like 3 or 4 plays where you're like, oh man, Turner, you got it going on. You're mixing it up. You're running the ball. You're play action. You did a crossing pattern to get somebody free. You did so, and all of a sudden it's like he throws that page, drops it in the shredder, and doesn't come back to it until like maybe the last minute or two. I mean, you come down to the last minute and a half, and he hits Dotson with a long bomb.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to run a play to get Dotson one-on-one, but he wasn't able to do that. Even though Heineke threw the ball downfield a couple times, it wasn't on one-on-one coverage like that. So why was he able to get it there? Because they're playing prevent. If anything, they're playing back, but he ran a play somehow. Maybe it broke down in coverage. I don't know what it is. I didn't see I don't get to see the full 22, but other teams seem to be able to do it with their subpar quarterback, but Washington can't. And I'm sorry. We can blame Heineke. We can blame the offensive line, but it comes down to the offensive coordinator needs to use the weapons, recognize his weakness, and put in a game plan to be successful.
My man. Well, I let you go on your rant there. I didn't want to interrupt because I've been saying things about Scott Turner all season long. I'm not going to let Taylor off the hook.
No,
Because Taylor
I'm not
Heineke,
trying to.
Taylor Heineke is part of the problem here. But I'm not going to get on Taylor right now. But Scott Turner, in my opinion, and I saw this, and that's what I was trying to look up here. I thought I had written it down, so I'm going to try to paraphrase. But I saw a tweet on Twitter because I've been kind of talking about Scott Turner all year long, man, and it goes something along the lines of the guy says that Scott Turner issue it's not a play design. It says something along the lines that his issue is the feel for the game and the feel for momentum. So to your point, when something is working or something is not working, he doesn't seem to know how to navigate that. They're getting pressure on the defensive side with Thibodeau as the type of half he was having.
Right.
We don't make the adjustment. They're playing a certain kind of way. When we see teams that are playing aggressive defense, we still want to drop back 5-7 steps,
Right.
and watch our plays develop down the field when our offensive line doesn't allow for that. He doesn't have a feel for the game. And I was trying to figure out a way to say it, and I saw that tweet and and I was like, this is exactly what I mean. Because there are some times he'll show some creative plays, or he's trying to design and get guys open. They're great design plays. But his issue becomes the lack of feel for the game. And I'm going to say one more before we kind of transition into the San Francisco game. I made it a point when we were making that drive toward the end of the game, and I'm going to read off it here to make sure I got it right. With Taylor Heineke driving down for the attempt to score, we're down 8 at this point, and then try to tie the game up, right?
Right.
I made a point, and I noted there was 1 minute and 41 seconds left in the game. We were at the New York Giant 35-yard line. As a fan, we got 1 minute, almost 2 minutes left, and we're at the New York 35. Man, we got plenty of time.
With a timeout.
With timeout.
One timeout. Yep.
Plenty of time.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I feel pretty good about this. And I wanted to see, because of the way the game was being called, I wanted to see what was happening. Would you believe that Scott Turner had Taylor Heineke drop back and pass every single play? Now, keep in mind, an incomplete is going to stop the clock. But more importantly, Brian Robinson has been averaging 7 yards a carry. You got 1 minute and 41 to go. The only time Brian Robinson carried the ball within that 1 minute and 41 seconds was that 1 yard goal line play that he actually scored on,
Right.
but was called back due to Terry being offsides.
Right.
But up to then, Scott Turner, well, keep in mind, New York has been getting pressure on Taylor Heineke. He's fumbled in the red zone before, everything that is happening to our offensive line and the passing game. Brian Robinson did not carry the ball at all, except for when we got to the 1 yard line, and that was that run out by Taylor.
Yep.
Got us to the 1, and then he gave Brian Robinson the ball.
Right. Right.
There's too much you're asking Taylor to do here.
Right.
And based on the way that game had been going and the flow of that offense, you're asking Taylor Heineke with 1 minute and 40 to put the ball in his hand and to go make the play. And I'm not saying that you can't ask him to make the throw, but you don't give the ball to the hot hand, which in this case is Brian Robinson, who, oh, by the way, had 12 carries. 12 carries in that entire game.
And most of that was in the first half, right? The other thing, well, we talked about with the Giants game on the first time, and I've been talking about it throughout the year since B-Rob has been back. You know, why early on in the Giants game 1, and this game again, they actually hit him out in the flat on a couple passes, right?
Mm-hmm.
One-on-one game, one on the other game, and it's like he only wants to do that in the first quarter, right? Get him in the field and get him in the rhythm. But then second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, he doesn't want to do that. I mean, perfect example
for the game
with Thibodeau is let him give him a chip on the way out to help. If he's on the left end or right end, help Leno out, give him a little a shoulder chip, and roll on out to the flat. And if nothing else, you caught a chip and you're pulling a linebacker over there for some of the wide receivers to move and cut and get open.
Feel for the game, Ken.
it is just extremely frustrating.
Feel for the game.
I think we not us, but I think the media and social media has beat up on the Terry McLaurin call, the offsides call, or not offsides. It was the
Legal formation.
Illegal formation. The final Washington play of clearly pass interference. And then even the Dotson, when we went for the 2-point play, such a bogus call. I mean, those are 3 scoring opportunities there that transitioned into failure, right? All because of the plays. And then I'll go back even before. I think this was actually it was in the first quarter. They called Thomas again on a holding penalty that wasn't a hold. B-Rob picked up 10, 12 yards, and that's negated, and we go back 10 yards, right? Then the very next play is when Heineke gets strip sacked, right? Yeah. So one doesn't cause the other. It's not cause and effect necessarily, but man, Washington really got the short end of the stick on the play calls that week. And again,
the officials,
it's all been covered, but they were. I mean, those 4 plays are 4 huge, horrible calls. They weren't even judgment call. They were talking about one of the plays. It's a judgment call. All of those are horrible judgment calls. I don't know. You must have got something in your eye at the time and held the flag or threw the flag, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt that
NFL can't find the fans and can't find the knuckleheads for telling them they're full of crap.
Yeah, no doubt that the officiating played a huge role in that game. Right, there should have been a flag on Curtis Samuel. That whole deal. And if you watch that play in its entirety, you can see that guy was holding and doing everything that Curtis Samuel from start to finish. It wasn't just him reaching over when the ball was thrown to him. I mean, He was holding him as he was trying to get open.
Right.
And they could have called the flag on that 5 times probably on that one play. But analytics, I'm not a fan of analytics. We went for the 2-point conversion in the second quarter because analytics told Ron them that they should go for 2. We end up not getting it. We moved back and we missed a field goal. And I felt like we was chasing that the rest of the game, which, oh, by the way, because we missed a field goal afterwards, now that's why we had a need to try to score 8 points at the end of the game.
Right.
And because that touchdown by Brian Robinson that was negated by the flag, the bad, terrible flag on Terry for the illegal formation, we still need to convert the 2-point conversion on that. And I tweeted about it that because people were complaining about the officials. And listen, officials were screwed up big time on this, right? There was more than one flag that cost us that game.
Yep.
But I made a tweet about the fact that there was no guarantee that we even convert the 2-point to even tie the game to go into overtime. And people didn't want to hear that, and that's okay. They have a right to their opinion, and I appreciate the interacting with them. But people seem to miss the point that I was making. I wasn't saying that the flag was irrelevant. I wasn't saying that it wasn't a bad call. I just simply said even if they don't throw the flag and the touchdown for Brian Robinson stands, we're still down by 2 points. And with that being the case, and the way Scott Turner was calling the game, who's to say that we convert that 2-point conversion? I would have personally been better off comfortable with Joey Sly kicking a 30-yard field goal than trusting Scott Turner to call the right play with Taylor Heineke to convert a 2-point conversion. That's just me. Right. But because we went for that 2-point conversion that we didn't get, we're chasing that, and we needed a 2-point conversion. And that's not something we're doing because guess what? A 2-point conversion is in the red zone, and we are terrible in the red zone. So that's the point that I was trying to make on Twitter about that, and people kind of got in their feelings about it. But I stand by what I say. Just because if he doesn't throw the flag, he meaning the ref, there's no guarantee, y'all. And I know you can say Joey Sly could have missed a 30-yard field goal. He could have. But I trust Joey Sly kicking a 30-yard than I do Scott Turner calling the perfect play in a compressed field in the red zone with Taylor Heineke, and I
Yeah,
stand by that.
and that 2-point, the original 2-point conversion that they called a horrible wasn't pass. What was it called?
I know, but it's
Illegal
where you
contact
crossed
downfield.
in,
Yeah,
crossed in,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, the idea of going for that, not only from analytics, forget the analytics, and forget even about getting the 2 points. Man, if you fail, Washington had momentum, right? Defensively, we had stopped them. They weren't doing anything at that point. They had only scored off of their strip sack, right? Their defense had scored, but their offense wasn't doing anything at that point. You'd kicked a field goal. They had gotten that. You'd stopped them again. You come down and you get a touchdown. You got the momentum, and all of a sudden, the 2-point conversion is a fail, along with the
Missed field goal.
missed field goal or mixed extra point. And man, they broke the commercial, and I looked and I'm like, man, that just took all the wind out of our sail right there. Not that you can't get it going, but you could just feel it. I mean, I was at a sports bar full of Commanders fans, and the room was full for a Sunday night game. It was pretty full, and you just feel a difference in the room after that. Not just because they
and I have no doubt that it was probably a
because
different
of the momentum.
feel in the stadium as well. I have no
Absolutely.
doubt. But that's where analytics comes into the game. And this is in the second quarter. Like I said, when we didn't get it, I felt like we would be chasing those points, and sure enough, we were.
Yep.
But anyway, man, on to California. So we played a late Sunday night game, and then we have to travel across country to play San Francisco 49'ers. What sucks about that is it's not like we're playing them on Sunday. We're playing them on Saturday. So we have a late Sunday game, and then we have an early game in the week. It's not a Thursday game, but it's a Saturday game.
And San Francisco played a Thursday night game.
That's right.
They played a Thursday.
They got a mini bye.
They got a mini bye, and playing at home on top of that. So from a scheduling perspective, and rest and all those kinds of little nuances, and the beatdown that a 4-hour flight is from Washington to San Francisco. Those aren't things that you want.
Well, we end up with one less day to prepare, right? And but it is what it is, right? We're professionals, and they're gonna have to, deal with it the way it is. I guess the positive, they'll be back home for Christmas, right? And for some players, that means a lot. They got families and things of that nature, so they get to be home for Christmas Day. But I don't feel good about this one, Ken. The loss to the Giants on Sunday night, man, took a little bit of sail out of me, because here we are playing a team that their strength is our strength. Our strength is our running game, and their strength is their run defense, because they have a hell of a defense, and it ain't just their run defense; it's their defense as a whole.
Right.
And reality is our offensive line against good defenses is not a good recipe for success for the Washington Commanders, man. And we've already talked about how Scott Turner abandons the run, or he's very predictable with the run game. And the San Francisco 49ers are number one defense against the run.
Right.
And something has to give.
I think when you look at some of the stats for Washington and San Francisco, if you a lot of the stats actually are very similar, right?
On which side of the ball?
On offensively,
Okay.
I guess kind of offensively, defensively. There's a lot of similarities. Washington and San Francisco both like to run the ball. I think San Francisco is 9th in attempts and yards, and Washington is 10th or 11th.
Ninth and 11th.
Ninth and 11th. So average it out to be 10th. So they're right there, right? The total yards are not that different. A lot of the things are the same. What is the difference is they are scoring to where Washington isn't. All right, they're getting down into the score, not necessarily even red zone, but they're getting down to the we're getting a field goal when they're getting a touchdown. We're getting nothing. All of a sudden we'll get down to the 20 and have 2 penalties, and we're punting the ball somehow to where they're scoring. Their efficiency, scoring efficiency, is a lot better for Washington, and that's kind of been the difference. From
play calling.
Well, I don't know who's their play caller. Are we familiar with them?
I'm just asking. Could the difference be play calling?
Absolutely. Okay. We Kyle is definitely a more aggressive
and creative
play caller, and yeah, definitely, and creative. I think even if man, I don't want to give Turner any credit whatsoever at this point, but to me, Turner just needs to be more aggressive, right? And we've been saying this. Open it up a little bit. I would rather lose with Heineke being aggressive than what we keep on watching week after week of ultra conservative and have a glimpse here and there of what we could do. Hey, Heineke can, if Heineke can throw and open it up and we can score an extra touchdown or two and we have one more turnover, we can live with it. Potentially, but if you're never opening up the score and you think this is the 1970s where you win games 13-14 or that's not the case, man. It's a different NFL.
But that's our coaching staff, man.
I don't disagree.
That's our coaching staff.
I don't disagree.
This is the passing league, and if you listen to Ron talks about he wants to pound the ball.
And that's okay. That's okay to pound the ball. But when again, I'll go back to the Giants, okay? When they were picking up the first downs, and you were talking about they were throwing it to no-name receivers, but their no-name receivers were, it was 3rd and 8, and the receiver would go 9 yards, right? They kept on picking up their first downs by a half a yard to no more than 2 yards.
Just
enough to where Washington, we tend to throw the ball. We need 8. We'll throw it 6 yards and rely on the wide receiver to make a move or to pick up those couple yards. And sometimes it happens, but a lot of times they're tackled right away. Yep. And again, that's granted. Sometimes it's the coverage. I don't disagree, right? But that is not always the case. And it's
play calling, brother.
It's bad play calling, and not. And if you want to, if you can't get Heineke to throw the ball to the person that's down there, then put Wentz in, right? I'm not a Wentz fan, but if you can't coach him right, if you can't coach him right, then that's on the coaches also. Again, I'm not giving Heineke a pass, but these are all coaches' decisions. Whether it's Ron, whether it's Turner, it's coaches. And let me step back off my soapbox here. I think
it is coaching, man. It is coaching. We have an old school mentality in our organization. I like Ron the man, but I am not a fan of Ron the coach, brother. I wasn't excited when we got the hire, and 3 years in, I feel like we're in the same boat. We got more talent than we had when Ron got here. This team is set up for success down the road with some of the young core players that we have. But I don't feel like this organization is able to maximize the talent. There are teams that are having success with less talent. And
I agree 100%.
If we have some good, solid players, some future stars. If we didn't have those guys, man, we'd be in year 3.
we'd be top 2 or 3.
I feel like the success that this team is having right now is in spite of our coaching staff. We have an old school mentality coaching staff, man. And I understand you still need to run the ball. I understand football.
And we do it well. And we do it well.
But we're not the Tennessee Titans, man. We don't have a running back that's gonna get you 150, 200 yards a game. But you got to be able to pass the ball, Ken. You got to
Yes,
be able to
yes,
pass the ball, man.
agree 100%.
You don't need Pat. You don't need Pat Mahomes. I get it. I mean, hell, San Francisco is getting it done with the guy who was picked last in the draft.
Yep.
He just stepped right in. The third string guy between Trey Lance, Garoppolo, and they're going with Brock Purdy. And this guy's still able to get it done in this offense.
Right. And for those that don't know, San Francisco lost their starting quarterback. What was the they turned
Trey
over
Lance
to
or
Lance,
Garoppolo?
yeah, Lance, and then when he got hurt injured, Garoppolo took back over, and then Garoppolo goes down, and some
Brock
guy that
Purdy.
nobody knows is Brock Purdy, and we're like, and you think, man, that offense has got to drop off. Well, the 3 games that he's played, they've scored 33 points, 35,
hold on,
21 points.
And don't forget, they lost Deebo Samuels.
Right. Their star, their offensive star.
Right?
Yes.
And they've lost their 2 quarterbacks.
They're on the third string quarterback and their star everything player.
Yeah. And yet you're talking they're still scoring 30 points. Now, let's be honest. Let's be clear. They're very similar to us. They're winning because of the defense, but yet they're still able to get production out of the offense. And if we got a little bit more production out of our offense, we're not 7-6 and 1.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you look back at that Detroit game, you look back at the Minnesota game, you look back at the Tigers, you look back at some of these games that if we had got just a little more production out of our offense, I mean, hell, we couldn't even beat Cooper Rush.
Right.
Cooper Rush. But yet, again, offensively, we struggle. And so our offense is very putrid, at best. And we're going to go up against the San Francisco 49'er, which, boy, that defense is something special. Yeah, people look at our defense and go, our defense is pretty good statistically. But you don't look at our defense and go, whoa, boy. When them boys come to town, they start flying around. They start knocking some heads.
That's exactly what the term that I was going to use is that they got 2 or 3 guys that really fly around. To be honest, I thought there was a chance that we would see, and while Davis at linebacker has definitely improved as the year has gone on, I expected him to fly around.
He ain't flying around
like a couple of linebackers there at San Francisco.
Yeah, and the first order of business, Scott, Ron, if you're listening. Can you block Nick Bosa? Just block Nick Bosa. Thibodeau just came out here and just wrecked us offensively, single-handedly, on national television. Christmas Eve, 3:00. Some people going to be watching outside of 49er and Commander fans. But can you block Nick Bosa? My last memory of Nick Bosa is wrecking havoc on our team on a rainy day at FedEx Field, and he's sliding
across the grass,
across the field. You know why? Because he's having a good old time, man, just killing us. Can we block him this Saturday? Just for your boy.
And not that it's necessarily the plan, but don't be pulling a tackle and leaving him with a tight end to block, even for a second and a half. Just don't do it.
Put 2 tight ends. You're gonna put a tight end on him. Put 2 tight ends.
Two tight ends. Yeah. And we'll probably get a holding call on that
because Thibodeau just wrecked Logan Thomas. That's the play you're referring to. I'm guessing, right?
Well, no, even it's happened a few times this year. It's happened a few times, but yes.
On Sunday night, though, there was a play, one of those handoff to Curtis Samuel, and Thibodeau just pretty much just picked Logan Thomas, who I think is about 6'6", 6'8", and just pushed him in the backfield. And Curtis had to go around the guy, and the defense just rallied to the ball and blew up the play. Right? You can't block a defensive end or or a linebacker in a 3-4 system with a tight end. You just can't do it. Unless you got a real good one. You know, maybe back in the Jason Witten days, you might can get away with that. We don't have that guy. We don't have that kind of guy on our team.
Yeah,
so for starters, let's block.
Let's block. And my point is that's happened actually a few times this year, and it more times than not it hasn't worked well. I mean, come on, know who's on the field, right? Know who's on the field. This isn't their backup. Somebody's third string because they've had a bunch of injuries. Hey, if that happens, then yeah, take advantage of that situation. But you're talking about all pro players here. Yeah, I think Washington defense can do okay against San Francisco. I think they will hold their own. They're not going to stop San Francisco. They're not going to hold them to 13 points and 12 points and like they have the last few games. I think San Francisco is going to offensively. You're going to plan on them scoring 20 to 24 points minimum, right? And so the concern I have is I'll go back. We're talking about the offense once again. If our defense is good enough to slow them down and get them in the 23 to 27 point range, is the offense prepared to score 23 to 27 points?
No.
And make it a game?
No.
And I would. That is my concern. 100%. 100%.
This game is going to come down to their defense and our offense, which, oh, by the way, seems to be the common theme throughout the season. We can't get over the 20-point hump, right? The offense has seemed to have maxed out. The old Taylor Heineke sprinkled dust or whatever Collinsworth was popping off at the mouth at during the broadcast.
God, can I just say I hate Collinsworth? I hate Collinsworth more than any other announcer out there.
He's terrible. The guy's terrible.
He is horrible. He is horrible.
Terrible. He's terrible. But anyway, I'm just but whatever is happening, we've plateaued, and it just hurt me to listen to Scott Turner interview press conference with the media. Yeah, we probably should have continued to give Robinson the ball. Yeah, we probably should do this. We are what, week 16? And you don't know your personnel? You don't know your team? You're in charge of the offense and you don't know it. And you talk about, yeah, maybe we probably should consider doing this. People asking about Taylor Heineke and his ability to run because of his mobility, which I think any Washington fan knows that was probably a huge key difference when he came in versus Wentz, and yet you don't call any design runs. It's like, do you even know your personnel, Scott?
Yeah.
It's disheartening.
I don't even want to hear from Scott Turner anymore. I mean, we know the issues with Heineke, right? We know the issues. And let's just say Heineke is playing the best that he can play, and the offensive line is playing the best that they can play under the circumstances. Dude, we all recognize that we want a replacement that is better than Heineke. We know that we want a replacement that is better than some of the offensive linemen right now. Scott Turner, we want a replacement for you because
he's not scheming it up, man.
You're not doing your job well enough, just like the players aren't.
You gotta scheme them up. Scheme it up.
And I don't know. I would love to know what the conversation is between Ron Rivera and Scott Turner on a weekly basis.
Apparently it's not doing much, Ken, because he's the head coach.
I understand. But the head coach, and I'll put some of this on Ron. The head coach can go, hey, look, I understand what you're doing. We need to open this up more. We are not going to win games 10 and 12 points, 14 points, 20 and under. You're not going to win in the NFL. You're not. Not in today's game, not with today's rules. This isn't is the rules are different than 15 years ago.
I think Ron's cool with winning 20-12, man. Just as
And
long as he's got 20.
you're going to be a 500 team like we are with that attitude and that mentality.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
And I just don't get it. I would rather lose with Heineke making some mistakes as we're being aggressive than losing sitting on our hands.
Yeah, whatever, man. And then we didn't touch on it, and I'm gonna say we're probably not gonna touch on it because I don't care. Chase Young, don't care.
We'll see.
So we'll just touch.
Hey,
We'll just
we'll
touch.
see. We'll see when we see you, brother.
Yeah, we can touch on that for the fans in case you're wondering. We didn't touch on Chase Young, and we're not going to. Not concerned about it. St. Juice, I don't know where he stands, but I think from what I've heard, he may come back for this game. But again, he plays defense, not offense. Because to your point, I'm not too concerned about our defense against their offense. If there's one concern, I will say, is probably that they have an all-pro tight end, and we know tight ends tends to kill us team. So, yeah, that will probably be the one concern. Kittle's pretty good.
Yeah, and for me, it's funny that you bring that up because we're kind of going down different paths on this podcast here, but I think defensively, I think we'll do okay, but I think their strength and our weakness on defense and their strength on offense being with Kittle and the running back out of
Christian McCaffrey
out of Carolina, formerly of Carolina. The linebackers are going to have to play their game to handle these guys, and that is our weakness on defense, right? Especially with Cole Holcomb out for the remainder of the season. I don't know if he's going to be available if we make it into the playoffs, but I know he's out for the regular season here. And so that is concerning from a defensive perspective. I think our defensive line will do okay. Our secondary will do okay, but this might be a game where we're like, oh crap, what are these linebackers doing with McCaffrey? Because McCaffrey gets slips out of the backfield just as much as he runs. And that's going to be
he's a receiving threat without a doubt.
Yeah. So that is a concern of mine from a Washington defensive perspective, but
whatever, man. Chase, just sit on out the rest of the year. That's my feeling on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even worried about it. When I see his ridiculous long dreads sticking out of the bottom of a helmet on the field and the ball's actually snapped, then I'll believe that he's going to play. Until then, it is what it is. But Reggie, this is going to be painful, but I think it's that time.
Okay, man.
Oh man, this is going to hurt, Reg. This is going to hurt.
Do we even need to do this segment?
We do. Because I think not only does it indicate, I mean, we've already indicated that we're not feeling strong about this game, but the number will let you know. I mean, are you, where are you on your number, right? And I'll give you the option. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first, man. I ain't scared. I ain't scared, man. Listen. I told you a couple weeks ago that I was finally just going to believe in this team. I'm just going to blind faith. I'm just going to start believing because I couldn't put my finger on why we were winning and with Taylor Heineke and everything that was going on. And I just jumped on the bandwagon. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to throw caution to the wind and I'm just going to go blind faith. And I gave that game against the Giants an 8, right? For all and with some other reasons and some things, even going into the Giants game the week prior. I let my guard down, Ken, and they hurt me.
Yeah.
They hurt me. So here comes the San Francisco 49ers. I've learned and come to the realization we're not good enough. I enjoyed the ride, right? Because we've not had a lot of good happen over the years. It's organization. We've had a lot of losing seasons. So it felt good to go on the ride, man. But this Giants game that we lost on Sunday night for me was more than just a loss. It was a realization to me that we're still just not there. We're just not there. And I don't see it changing because Ron Rivera's not going anywhere. And with Ron Rivera not going anywhere, I don't think Scott Turner's going anywhere. So with that, the only thing that can happen here is that whatever happened on that Monday night against Philly, we do one of those just, oh my God, kind of games. I don't know that we're going to do it. So with that, my number is a 4.
A 4. Okay.
I
And
started
and
to
I
give it. I started to give it a 3.5, but I'm going to give it a 4, just because you know what?
and I understand. And I
Because
understand 100%.
the only reason I'm giving it a 4 is because whatever happened on that Monday night against Philly just might. They just might pack that and take it out west with them, and show up at that field and upset the San Francisco 49ers, because we're the kind of team that will lose games we're supposed to win, and we'll win games we're supposed to lose. So that's the only reason I bumped it from a 3.5 to a 4. But other than that, I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, and I understand. I think, again, like you said, after that game, I mean, because we were both high on Washington beating the Giants. We thought that the first game against the Giants, uh, I'm not going to say it was a fluke, but it was a wake up call. We had more talent than they did. We had a bad taste in our mouth, and we would come out and fight the fight and
It
handle
was
the
a
Giants
playoff
and
game.
take care of that game. Absolutely,
It was a
absolutely.
playoff game.
But if you go back to before the season started and we gave our prediction, I said this team was about a 500 team. But with 17 games, we couldn't be a 500 team. And so I went 7-9. But you know what? The mathematicians say you can be a 500 team. And we are set up currently to be a 500 team if we end up 8-1.
Okay.
So that is the team that we are. We may end up doing better than that. We may end up doing less than that, but we are a 500 team. Our coach, I'm not even going to talk about the offensive line. Our coach and our quarterbacks, I'll say quarterbacks plural, and our whoever you want to start and whoever you want to say is the backup, along with our offensive coordinator, we will not get better of an 8-8 team with those people still in place moving forward. With that being said, this is about to be the lowest number that I've ever given on a what's your name, what's your number. We can win this game. I don't think we have to be as perfect as we are in against the Eagles, but I do think that we just need to play a solid game all the way across the board. We don't turn the ball over, number one, and also open up the offense. And I don't have confidence that on either of those. I don't have confidence that we won't turn the ball over, and I don't have confidence that we're going to open it up. And with that being said, my number is a 2. Is a pitiful 2.
Wow.
Because if we don't do those things, if we don't open the ball, if we don't open the playbook and get more aggressive offensively against a very good defense, right? You can't play caution to the wind against this defense. You're going to say, oh, well, we didn't want to turn the ball. Bull crap. You got to go out there and open it up and make them think, what in the hell's going on? Confuse them. Do something different, because what you're doing isn't cutting it on offense. Run the hell out of B-Rob. But when you have success with that, that should be opening up other parts of your game. We don't even attempt a play action. We half-ass do a play action. Whether Heineke doesn't sell it or we just don't do it. when he goes back to pass, it's a pass. Nobody's biting on a potential handoff. And the way we have played the last 3 or 4 weeks, other than the first half against Houston, you talk about the second half of Houston and the past 3 games, you're not going to beat San Francisco playing like that offensively. You're not. And what is it? We are who we thought we were. That is who we are. And
we are.
And we're not changing. Week, what are we in? Week 13,
16.
No, we're not in 16. Anyway, the week that we're in.
Yeah. That's after this week. No, after this we have Cleveland.
Week 15. We're week 15.
No, this is week 16, brother. Because we played this week 16, 17.
We're not becoming a better team and all of a sudden a dynamic offensive team in week 16, 17, and 18.
Let me tell you how I know that this is bad. We're in week 16, Ken, and we're still questioning whether or not we stick with Taylor or bring Carson Wentz. You've had 15. My point being, though, is we're still not settled on this 15 weeks into the season. That the part of Ron's press conference is still talking about whether or not if Taylor doesn't play well and whatever what happens, and whether or not Carson Wentz comes back in the team. And we're talking about being a playoff team. Right?
Let me answer that for you right now. Right, for those that think that Wentz should be starting these past 3 or 4 or 5 games, whatever, when he was supposedly healthy enough to come back, we would be the exact same place that we are. Right, we would have lost games differently. We might have won one game here, but we would have lost another game there. Wentz is no better than Heineke. He has strengths that are better than Heineke. He has weaknesses that are worse than Heineke. You roll it all together, and you are not doing any better or any worse with Heineke. Heineke's not making you better. Wentz isn't making you better. You are what you are because we don't have a true starting quarterback that you want to run your team with for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years on this roster. And anybody that says Sam Howell, get the bleep out of here, man. You don't even know. That's a hope and a dream off of some guy who can't read a defense.
Oh, but wait, Ken, but the 49'ers are starting Brock Purdy. He's the last guy in the draft. We can't start Sam Howell. You count on our coaches coaching them up. You count on our coaches coaching. I know you don't, but I'm being sarcastic. That's what people on Twitter are talking about, right? Start Sam Howell.
You count on our coaches to get him ready. Then I got some beachfront property in Arizona. I'm ready to sell you too.
Yeah, man. Listen. As I said when I was giving my number, I came to the sad realization that at the end of the day, we're just not good enough. I know we should have beat Minnesota. We should have beat this team. We had a chance to win this game. But given the scope of this game against New York, given the implications of that game, given the fact that we had a bye, the fact that we had 2 weeks, we basically had to play. We had the game plan for one team in a 3-week period of a season.
Right.
And yet we still came out flat and looked awful. We don't look like we deserve to be in the playoffs. All right. And then here we are hoping to get in. It's like we're still trying to back our way in. Every year we're needing help for teams to lose, for us to get in. Man, I'm tired of all that. Either you're good enough to go or you're not. And that game told me we're not good enough.
No.
And we can
but we're not a playoff team.
We can get into the debate of where all of those issues lie. But at the end of the day, we're not good enough, Ken. And all that means we'll be one and done, and we're going to be picking at the back half of the draft again. And it's like, man, I'm tired of that.
Mediocrity is not where you want to be in the NFL.
And that's where we are.
And that's where we've been I know we've had some really bad years of 3 or 4 wins, but most years we're sitting around 500.
Yep.
Maybe a game behind 500. And that puts you in a bad spot in the draft. It puts you, because all these years we're waiting on a quarterback, and traditionally, you don't get quarterbacks or your pick of what quarterback that you want at 15, 16, 17, 18. And yeah, they're going to have to do some evaluation in the offseason and figure out, what is out there. I said last year we're going to be in the exact same position in the late winter, early spring of 2023 that we are in 2022, and yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. So
anyway,
but I hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. What's my thing for the entire year before the season? This is back in the spring also as hashtag prove it. It is, it's all these if and this and if this person and that and then the coaches and then another year in the system and blah blah blah. I don't want to hear it. Prove it. I don't want any more ifs. You can have 1 or 2 ifs, but we had 17 if this happens scenarios. And Knucklehead Reggie, as well as other knuckleheads out there, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I told you so. I'm gonna go ahead and say it now. The season isn't even over because I want everybody
out there, man.
I want everybody to write this down for next season. Is I'm gonna put up a banner or something. No more of this. 101 pipe dreams will get us into the playoffs.
Why you throwing me out there like that, man?
I'm sorry. You are my main man. My main man, Reggie.
I know. I'm like Reggie and everybody. Like, whoa, hold on, man. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You did. I'm not going to go down that path. Y'all go back and I'll get a highlight reel of all Reggie's mistakes and all of my mistakes too, right? And we'll just play a reel, and we'll all sit there and laugh and put our face in our hand of shame of all the preseason positive things that we.
I don't know, man. Do. The way you said that with your chest, I feel like you've been sitting on that one for a while. You've been waiting to hit me with "I told you." Like you've been waiting on that, man. Like
since I said it, you darn right. I wanted to be wrong. I'm not happy about it.
He's like, here we go. You know what? Week 16. I'm gonna hit him with "I told you."
I was hoping you were going to hit me with "I told you."
No,
I told you. I told you you can't stop us.
That was sitting heavy on the chest, man. The way that one came out, that was heavy. But all right, man. Listen,
I was like I was at the confessional or something right there, man. I feel a little bit better. I do feel a little bit better now, though. I do.
You finally hit me.
No. But
all right, man.
Now we're able to laugh through this ugliness that we're.
Because it's terrible, man. We're right back where we were, and I don't want to get back into it, man. Let's end this on a laughing note because I'm telling you, man, boy. I don't even know what the hell to say, man. But God, you're about to make me start cursing on this thing.
And on top of that,
I don't want to curse on it, Ken.
I know. I had to hold back a couple times on just this podcast alone. But I mean, on top of that, I'm not going to be able to even watch this week's game with my main man Reggie because it's on Christmas Eve, and obviously people have family obligations and other things going on that time of year. But I like for my main man Reggie to be sitting across the table and this bickering and everything and complaining and arguing or celebrating and high-fiving is live and in person. But,
it's always great to watch together, man. But I will say this, based on these numbers we just gave, I don't think there's be much to watch.
I'll be there.
I'll be watching
if you're in
even if I got to record it and watch it a little bit later, which will probably most likely happen, but I will be watching this game. I cannot watch it.
I'm not even gonna be able to text you during the game.
Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know. Nah, I know I'm not going to be able to. I'll go ahead and commit that for you right now, Reggie.
We'll see.
But look, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you got nothing to do on Christmas Eve, hit me up on Twitter. I'll tell you where we're at, the sports bar we're at. We'll all celebrate together, or we'll all suffer together as we get through these holidays. You know what? You might even be able to, if we win,
shots on Ken.
I'm gonna have a celebratory shot.
That's it.
And it's just that's the one that I'll have. That's the one that I'll have. I think I had one earlier in the season. I think I had one after the first game.
You do a shot of eggnog, man.
Shot of eggnog. There you go. There you go. That will not be happening. It'll be Fireball. I'll go ahead and give you my drink of choice.
Well, since we started with eggnog, I figured we'd end with some eggnog, man. So
I can appreciate it. People will be partaking of that eggnog on Christmas Eve, without a doubt.
No friends of mine though. I don't know anybody do eggnog. But for all those that like eggnog, though, hey,
I want to talk to your family. I'm gonna have to
drink up on the eggnog if you like that. So.
Oh man, that sounds good. It sounds good, man. But that's all I got. Hey, Washington.
That's all I got.
Washington Commanders, man, make me change my number. Let me get halfway through the game and go, ooh, man, I shouldn't have doubted you, boys. I shouldn't have doubted you. That'll be an early Christmas present, won't it, Reg?
As you say, I would love to be wrong. So let's do it, man.
Give me my early Christmas present. I'll take it. That'll be a nice flight going home. Look,
give him some Bush beer.
Nope, I was going to say the long flight home, Christmas Eve. All cameras will be shut off on the flight home, so there'll be no pictures or evidence of anything that's going on that plane.
That's it, man. That's it. So that's all we got, y'all. It was kind of a long rant, but hopefully we can come in here. Confidence is not high, but you know what? It wasn't high against that Philly game either. So hopefully that's my hope that we can come in and steal this game. So that's all we got. Hit us up on Twitter at the 2 Knuckleheads, DA the number 2. And we'll see y'all next time. So if we don't, Ken, I guess I'll be talking to you, but to our listeners out there, be safe. Have a Merry Christmas. And we'll talk then. Peace out.
Absolutely. Peace out, Knuckleheads. Merry Christmas.